You know that feeling? You buy the expensive 4K TV, you've got the high-end PC or the fancy streaming box, you plug everything in, and
Nothing.
you get a black screen.
Yeah.
Or worse, flickering. It's so frustrating.
It's the absolute worst. It's like AV purgatory where all the gear is great, but the connection itself is failing.
Well, today we're looking at the plumbing that hopefully fixes that.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, the WolfPack 4K 1x2 HDMI splitter. On the surface, it's just a gray metal box. But digging into the specs, this thing seems designed to solve a very specific and very modern set of digital headaches.
It is, and it solves them by managing what we call the handshake.
Right, so let's unpack that. The mission of this deep dive is to figure out why our devices stop talking to each other and how this WolfPack unit basically forces them to cooperate. Broadly speaking, it's a splitter, one input, two outputs. Simple, right?
In theory, yes. You plug in a Roku, a Shield, whatever, and send that signal to two displays. But in the 4K era, simple splitting usually just breaks things. The secret sauce of this device is how it handles EDID.
EDID. That's Extended Display Identification Data. I always think of this as a digital business card.
That's a perfect analogy. It really is. When you plug your PC into a TV, the TV hands over its business card. It says, "Hi, I'm a Samsung. I do 4K, and I like surround sound."
And the source reads the card and sends the right signal.
Exactly.
But when you put a splitter in the middle,
Well, the business cards get all mixed up. If you have a fancy 4K TV in the living room and maybe an older 1080p monitor in the kitchen,
okay.
the source gets both of those cards and gets confused. It often just defaults to the lowest common denominator, or sometimes it just gives up and shows you nothing at all.
So your shiny 4K setup gets downgraded just because of that older screen?
Precisely. This WolfPack unit stops that confusion. It has these 8 DIP switches, little physical toggles on the box.
Right.
And those let you manually override that whole conversation. You can tell the splitter, ignore what that second TV is saying. Force the signal to be 4K at 60 hertz.
So you're essentially telling the source device to stop guessing what to do.
You're taking manual control.
Yeah.
You can even tell it to just copy the specs from output 1 and completely ignore output 2. It solves those mixed resolution nightmares instantly.
That seems crucial for anyone running a setup with gear that's more than, say, 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But EDID is only half the battle here. The other big number on the spec sheet is HDMI 2.0. We see 1.4 and 2.0 thrown around constantly. Is there a tangible difference for the viewer?
Oh, it's night and day. It really comes down to the size of the pipe.
The bandwidth.
The bandwidth. HDMI 1.4, the old standard, was a pretty narrow pipe. I mean, it could technically do 4K, but it was capped at 30 frames per second.
Which looks choppy.
Very choppy, yeah. Especially for gaming or sports. HDMI 2.0, which this WolfPack uses, opens that bandwidth up to 18 gigabits per second. That's the magic number you need to push 4K at a smooth 60 frames per second.
So if you're using an old splitter that's only rated for HDMI 1.4, you are literally bottlenecking your own system.
You are. You're throwing away half the frames your TV can display, and you're likely losing HDR high dynamic range too. This unit supports the BT or 2020 color space, 10-bit color. If the splitter can't pass that data through, your fancy HDR TV just looks like a standard TV.
And we have to mention HDCP 2.2.
The copyright protection. Absolutely essential. If you're trying to watch Netflix in 4K on a Fire Player or a DirecTV Genie, every single link in the chain
Every single one.
must be HDCP 2.2 compliant. If your splitter is older, the screen just goes black. It's not a broken cable, it's a failed security check.
And this unit claims to handle that seamlessly.
Yeah.
Okay, so practically speaking, say I'm running a cable across the room. Does this help with signal loss?
It does, yeah. It acts as a repeater. It actually regenerates the signal. So if you're running like a 25-foot cable to a projector, this cleans up the digital noise at the end of the run.
I also noticed it supports CEC Consumer Electronics Control, so my TV remote can control the volume on my receiver.
It does, but there is a little catch with this specific unit. It only supports CEC on output 1. So your main TV can control the system, but the secondary screen on output 2 can't.
That's a good detail to keep in mind. Honestly, for the amount of troubleshooting this eliminates, the value proposition is interesting. The MSRP is listed around $250. But the current price is sitting at $50.
At $50, it's basically insurance. You're paying to make sure your audio, your DTS HD or Dolby True HD and your 4K video actually arrive intact.
It really highlights that the screen is only as good as the signal it gets. We obsess over the display, but we totally ignore the plumbing.
If you connect this to the bigger picture, that's the real takeaway. You can spend thousands on a display, but if that digital handshake fails, you've got a very expensive black rectangle.
It leaves me with a kind of a nagging thought. How many people right now are watching their expensive home theaters at, half quality just because some cheap splitter in the middle is quietly throttling the whole signal?
Probably more than would like to admit it.
Check your cables, everyone. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.